am Vinnie Tortorich, folks. Your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry, I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent at the beginning of this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean, and that is a guarantee. Yeah, she's my Dixie chicken. That's right. That's right. I'm talking about the beautiful, the one and only Miss Anna Vocino. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit of little feet.
Yeah. You know what made me think of that?
What?
What happened right before the night went hot? Wait, not that. No, not that.
Vinnie.
Yeah. No, not that. Serena yelled out, "Your dinner's ready."
Oh, yeah.
And I know we're having chicken. I went, oh no. And then I was thinking about my chicken, Dixie chicken. And boom.
So what kind of chicken you having for dinner besides Dixie chicken?
It's that Anna Vocino chicken thing. We do it with breast. I know that.
Well, that's a little on the nose.
But it's the Anna chicken thing.
Is it with dill or with barbecue?
No, I'm sorry. We don't do it with breast. We do it with the thighs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 4-pound brisket. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a 4-pound brisket in the oven for the past 4 hours. So this will be the end of the 5th hour when you and I are done podcasting with the puttanesca sauce. I see that smile on your face. Don't say it. We are going to be doing a rapid fire Q&A today because I put the question out on the Facebook group. Do you have any questions for Vinnie? And quite a few came up. Now, before we even launch into this, okay, I want to tell people that you are starting an accountability group. So you're going to have more chances to get your question answered. And if you posted a question in the Facebook group and we don't get to it today, we're going to continue answering these questions.
Yeah.
So will you talk about your accountability group? Or what is it called that? Do we have a branding name?
We don't really have a name yet, but we're telling people to go to VinnieTortorich.com/VIP.
Can you turn the music off?
The music is off.
Now it's off.
Oh my God. All right. Okay. So the music was on, but it's turned all the way down over here, but you can hear it.
I was able to hear it. But
okay,
as long as it's not getting in the thing, then it won't be on the YouTube.
No, it won't be on the YouTube.
Okay, good.
All right. So the accountability group, when is this show coming out? Do you know?
This show's coming out, I believe, the Monday before Thanksgiving, which would be, I believe, the 20th of November. So
far, the signups have been way beyond what we thought.
I would imagine.
By the way,
it's priced right. It's extreme value.
I need you to write something down. Write down.
Oh, I love writing things down when men tell me to write things down.
As soon as this show is over with, ask me to tell you about the phone call I got on Tuesday.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to love this. I will break into the football game I'm supposed to watch right after this to tell you.
Tell Serena to turn it on and then pause it.
No, I don't like to do that. I don't mind missing a few minutes. Okay. No, I don't like to do that.
Now I understand why you wanted to start 15 minutes early. And I'm not mad at you. I think it's great.
Yeah. And then I couldn't come on that much quicker anyway. I just interviewed this woman, Mimi. Her name was Mimi Morgan. She goes by Mimi K. Morgan on Instagram, on Twitter. And this woman is fascinating. She's 69 years old. And she had Parkinson's. She had 10 things going wrong. She was supposed to die. She was in a hospital, pretty much left for dead. And I want you to go right now before we do anything else. I want you to go to your Twitter and look up Mimi K. Morgan. And see.
You mean shitter? Are we talking about shitter?
Shitter.
Spelled with an X. Twitter spelled with an X is shitter.
Yeah, shitter. Yeah.
Okay. Mimi K. M-I-M-I-K Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's Mimi.
Yeah. This is.
Oh my God, look at her.
69-year-old woman. And she was pretty much,
oh my gosh, she's stunning.
And by the way, no signs of Parkinson's. She went to 3 of the top places. She was diagnosed at 3 of the top places around the United States. And just happened to start, she went to this chiropractor who said, eat 50% fat, eat 25% protein, and I don't care what you do with the rest. But this woman was always a fighter and an athlete and the whole thing. And she walking 10 steps at one point was like a deal for her. She couldn't do anything. She had Mercer, and then it went into her bones, and kinds of,
well, that's that's what my mom died of.
The story, Anna, goes
Wow.
bad to worse, and she survives. And now look at her. The woman,
That's incredible.
Just to me, folks, when that one comes on my Friday show, it's a must listen. I'm fascinated by this woman. And
I can't wait to hear this interview.
But the thing I was going to say, the Monday thing. I mean, the thing I'm going to be doing twice a month. I'm building it out. The people that are in from the beginning, they'll be able to stay in at that low price, right? And as long as they don't break the subscription, they'll be able to keep that. This is going to be my beta group, but we're already figuring out other things to give with this, because I want this to be a group, an accountability group. People will check in. We're going to have special guests sometimes on it, and the whole thing. The response to this has been nothing short of way more than I thought.
Right.
The number that's come in so far of people that want to be part of this is just astronomical. So I'm turning this into the next wave of what I'm doing. I'm taking this seriously because all I care about is helping people. And when you hear stories like Mimi's, right? By the way, at some point, fat was helping so much she went up to 70% fat and the rest protein.
Great.
Right. The woman, when I think about all the people I've been able to help, the Tim Mallions, the original Kim, Jen, I'm mentioning the names that I'm allowed to mention, right?
Right.
And Jason, we'll mention Jason. Screw him if he doesn't want me to mention his name.
I think he wants to be mentioned.
Mr. Idaho. No.
Brent Budger.
Yeah, Brett.
Brett.
Wait, Jason is not in Idaho. He's in Utah. He's where you can have like 6 wives or something.
Yeah. 6 wives, but not 6 drinks.
Yeah. So no, the bottom line is you look at how these people have changed. You meet these people, and that's what inspires me. They inspire me. Scott King, Terry Lazaru, guy got back into cycling after reading my book. Yeah, he was always a good cycling, decided to start going for it again. The guy looks amazing.
Yeah.
And to a lesser degree, Kurt. Kurt.
I feel like he gets that. That's the moniker before you say it's always to a lesser degree, Kurt.
Yeah.
On most things, right?
Because, Kurt,
especially when referring to size.
Kurt
to a lesser degree, Kurt.
Kurt is Kurt. Look, people like Robin Dobbins, right?
Oh my God.
Who, she openly talks about fighting bipolar disorder and this kind
Correct.
of openly talks about it.
Yep.
Starts eating the way we prescribe and cures herself. And to a lesser degree, her husband. Right.
I mean, listen, the Dobbins are an embarrassment of riches in so many ways.
Well, there's Rose Dobbins, who I look at.
The absolute favorite Dobbins.
Yeah, I look at the oil painting on my
I want to say too.
I can go on and on.
I know. Foxy. Your girlfriend Lois.
Gone away.
Foxy Hoxie.
Yeah. That woman is now running and doing triathlons and doing the whole thing. She does not look like the same human being.
No. She's a babe.
Do you understand? Yeah, I'd hit that. I mean, I don't know. Wait, what? I'm not cheating.
Allison Sobchak.
Another one. Hot. Yeah, and I met her during the.
You're surrounded by hot chicks.
I am. I'm like Elvis.
Bunch of torta bitches.
That's right. And I got a torta bitch right here in the house who eats this way.
That's right. And making you the chicken.
Scott Thomas, who made me some chicken.
Making you some Dixie chicken.
Anna, you need to get another recipe in your next book, even though it's an Italian book. Call it Dixie chicken.
Okay, well, I'm writing the 4th book right now.
Okay.
Vinny.
You need to call it.
Just like you doing these documentaries, why am I doing more books? What are we doing? I know what we're
You're
doing. I know
going on
why.
You're going on to book 4. I'm working on documentary number 4.
So that's a question people ask. Are you going to reveal when is the big reveal about the topic of your next documentary?
It's coming up. I do not want to give the name away because it's going to give away. The name is what it is.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's good. That's good for marketing.
By the way, one Miss Serena Scott Thomas, Miss Bond girl up there, she was in her booth today recording her VOs for the movie.
Perfect.
So it's to let you, we always do her last. After we have everything in line, we know exactly what she has to do, and we can
VO is always last. Yeah.
Well, my stuff, mine is on camera, right?
Right.
And then I have to get the doctors that I want to use, they're on camera.
Right.
And then after, I figure out, okay, I need to I need to bridge this with that. So Serena's going to have to say these 5 words or these 10 words, these, read this little thing. And she does an excellent job. The problem is that Serena has, number one, she speaks the Queen's English.
This is true.
Well, now I guess it would be the King's English.
Yeah.
And she is such perfection in the booth. Like she doesn't let anything go by with herself.
Right.
And when you match that with my abomination of the English language,
that's not true.
I have 12 speech impediments just stacked on top of each other.
You don't say cheers as a verb. And for that, you're winning.
Well, I do have good grammatical skills sometimes.
Yeah.
Or as I would say, I speak good. See?
I speak real good.
You see how I just did that right?
You don't say the housewife thing that drives me crazy. Whenever they're in their testimonies, they're like, with me and they always say with Lisa and I, and it drives me nuts.
It's Lisa and me.
Exactly.
Right.
It's an indirect object.
So,
oh God,
that would be like, if you always say, if you don't know what it is, take the other person out. If it's going to sound like, well, I,
yeah.
It doesn't.
Are you going with I to podcast?
Right. Exactly.
No, you're going with me.
Exactly. And if it doesn't fit, then it's not right. See, Mark, a few things.
Yeah.
So at any rate, you have questions over there. Before
I have questions for you.
We're going to do, you know what? Instead of me just answering 1 or 2, we're going to fly through these so we can answer. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to jot them down. I want to answer at least 10 questions in this.
Okay. Well, you answered one already, which is what's the topic of your next documentary? And you answer that saying, we're not going to tell you yet. I didn't answer it,
but that doesn't count. We need 10 more. So Anna.
Okay. Real quick. Yep.
Let's do Villa Capelli. Go on.
Wait, am I asking you one?
No, before we start, let's do a Villa Capelli ad.
Oh, okay. Got it. Villa Capelli is the best olive oil on the planet. And here's how we know this, because we've been eating it / drinking it for the past 13 years. 13 years? Hold on a second. That's before you started podcasting. Exactly. You only started podcasting 12 years ago. We've been having Villa Capelli olive oil since before we started podcasting. And then shortly after we started talking about it on the air, Paul Capelli said, I'm going to pay you guys to be sponsors. He wanted to be sponsored. You are going to be eating a lot of olive oil when you turn to eat this way of eating, right? When you start doing NSNG, you're going to want to add in the fats, the coconut oil, the butter, the lard, the tallow, and the olive oil. Very important. So make sure you have full 100% extra virgin olive oil. That means olive oil that is pressed on the first press of the olive fruit. And you want to make sure that it is pure, not cut with anything else, that it's not rancid. By the way, when I'm saying these words, the impure oils that are cut with other oils, the rancid oils, they use chlorophyll, they use bleach, they use deodorizers they use deodorizers to put into these oils on the grocery store shelves. They are not to be trusted. And the reason for that is because oil is delicate and you're pressing the olive fruit and it is delicate and you have to make sure that you're getting a high quality oil. We've done the vetting for you. Villa Capelli olive oil is 1000% the highest quality oil you can find anywhere. And it's really well priced because really nice extra virgin olive oil will run you and they are very reasonable. So go to villacapelli.com to get your hands on some. We always recommend getting the 3-liter tin and then some other things so that you bring your total up to around $140 to $150 because you're going to use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE, and you're going to get 10% off your order. And if you have your shopping cart up to that amount, you'll still use the discount code, but you'll still qualify for the free shipping. That's our advice. You don't have to. You don't got to take our advice. They have another code on there if you want to get 2 3-liter tins. That's also a great code, BOGO25. And what it is, you get 1 3-liter tin, and the second one you get 25% off the second tin. It works out to be about the same as using the discount code Vinnie for 10% off your whole order.
Well,
but just throwing that out there.
About that when they could just put in Vinnie and just get the discount and rock and roll.
Well, because then you can get whatever you want. You want to get some spices, you want to get some flavored oils,
right?
All that good stuff. So, okay, that was Villa Capelli, the best olive oil on the planet.
Okay, so I'm gonna write these down. I'm gonna answer.
Okay, number one
today. Number one, we're lightning round. Anna is what they call the kids.
Okay, well, let's just ask Kurt's question first. Here
we go.
Weighted vests, pros and cons, extra weight on knees, etc. And he misspelled etc. because it's Kurt, and he's it's Kurt.
To be expected. He's from the Midwest. So here's the thing about weighted vests. The good side is that, it causes you to exercise harder, especially if you're going up and down hills. I've used mine to train a little bit for longer hikes. The problem I have with it personally is that I have a neck issue, as you know.
Oh, yeah. I see you during the show, during
the show, I have to, do these things. I'm in pain all the time. And when I have that vest on and you have, 10 pounds in front, 10 pounds in the back, it's only 20. I'm saying only 20 pounds because when I'm hiking, I usually have a 30, sometimes 40-pound pack on. So I'll put that 20 pounds on and it pushes straight down, and it pushes and it causes me my traps to get, and then the pain goes into my neck.
Right. Like it seizes up in the traps kind of thing.
Yeah, it goes right into my neck. Like it takes me 2 or 3 hours. So that's and what I end up doing is I'll take it off and carry it in my hand for a while on the hike and just do that and then put it back on. So I have a personal problem with them. If you're not used to that amount of extra weight on you, if you're doing things like climbing up and down stairs, going up and down stadium steps and that kind of thing, that can become a problem, especially on the downhill. If you're hiking downhill also, and you're not used to the extra weight, that can get to you. So what I do, by the way, is most of the time, whenever I'm training for a glacier or a big hike or whatever, I'll just use the bag I'm going to use on a hike, and I'll throw a couple of 20, 30-pound plates or dumbbells in the bag. By the way, folks, pro move, wrap a towel around each one, because if you just throw it in the bag, you'll have those weights rubbing against your back. You'll rub a hole in your back. So just put a little towel or something around each one and just drop it into the bag, and it'll stay the way you put it there. And it also distributes the weight up and down the bag better. But just using the vest, and I see people, look, when you're young and I see people running in these things and everything else, you're going to get away with murder for a while until you don't, right? I would rather see you go out for a jog and run and learn how to run correctly and not have extra weight on you, because it can end up screwing up your knees, especially if you don't know what you're doing. But that being said, some people, I've seen people do plyometrics with it, and the whole thing is like, not a fan. Do plyometrics as plyometrics. So that's question number one. Thank you, Kurt.
What's plyometrics?
I'm not going to get into that. You want that to be one of the questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't just say plyometrics and then just.
So everyone does plyometrics now. So what we figured out whenever the wall came down and we started learning what they were doing in the Eastern Bloc countries that were kicking our asses in the Olympics and everything.
Right.
One of the things we found was we saw the East Germans, we saw some of these other Eastern Bloc countries, and they had many of their athletes jumping off of ladders, 3 feet high, 4 feet high, jumping off of boxes and bounding and catching yourself and then pushing up out of that. And what it does is it causes a certain part of your muscle to strengthen, right? It causes a vibration. It's kind of like going to failure with weightlifting, but in a different way. So in other words, if you're just sitting there, if you just bend your knees and jump up, right? That's one thing. But if if you fall off of something, if you drop off of something and go down into a squat, catch yourself and then jump up, your body's still going in one direction when you start pushing in the opposite direction. And these plyometrics cause you, if you're an athlete, to, for lack of any other word, a little more spring. So if you can't dunk a basketball and you're in high school, that's a quick way to try to learn how to dunk a basketball.
Interesting.
Right? That kind of thing. So it's I wish I could explain it better. I'm trying to keep it in layman terms without getting way into it. But that's what plyometrics are. No, you're not going to see any extra definition of striations or anything else. This is more internal, right? It's in the joints. It's in the ligaments and that sort of thing.
When I hear a word like plyometrics, I think like Kalinetics or like something from the 80s.
Yeah, Kalinetics was that was the 70s.
Was that the 70s?
Oh, the Kalinetics go back since then. By the way, folks, Kalinetics.
That was on every Hausfrau's bookshelf.
It's not plyometrics.
It's not the same.
It's a woman who calls something Kalinetics. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with doing plyometrics. We used them a lot when I was in college. We use it, but you have to know what you're doing with plyometrics in order to make it done, in order to do it right. And the other problem with it is, if you do it wrong, you can fucking hurt yourself really badly.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
Yeah. All right. So that's two questions.
Okay, that's two questions. Well, along this line, Susie DeMeester, our friend, asks, can Pilates act as a strength training day? I know Susie's doing some Pilates, and she says that she's discovering muscles she didn't know she had.
Is it just me, or is she really pretty much a cutie pie?
The most cutie pie.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah. She's kind of hot.
I like that everyone we speak of is absolutely the most of everything, because we love everyone so much.
Yeah, you could count that as a weightlifting day, especially. Yeah, you can, because you're doing anaerobics. Now, if you're doing them super light and you're just stretching and that kind of thing, that's one thing. But if you're in the reformer and you're going for it, yeah, that that's
going to failure, right?
Yeah, that's weightlifting.
Because I mean, listen, when you're on the reformer and you have those things in your hands and you're doing the arms, you definitely go to failure.
Yeah, that's considered weightlifting. So that's 3.
Okay. Yeah. Margaret asks, how much fat is too much fat to consume daily when you are just starting NSNG and have weight to lose? I am prioritizing protein, but concerned that I'm consuming way too much fat.
Okay.
I know that's a longer answer. I feel like there's a question within a question.
Margaret, that's not easy to answer at all. Because I would have to know more about you and your situation, where you started, where you are now, and where you're heading. And that's what the consults are for. And by the way, those are the kind of questions we're going to be asking in the VIP group, let's just call it the VIP group right now. So those are the kind of questions I'll be answering, by talking to the person. So if Margaret gets picked that day, we would be asking her about her, particularly the things we can't do on this show. So, but that being said, I don't want to walk away with giving that as an answer.
Right.
I'm going to try to talk around it a bit. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So I tell everyone, when you start doing low carb, just go hog wild on the fat, right? We want to get you off of sugar. We want you to stop feeling and thinking about sugar. That's all we want to do right now.
And if you don't go hog wild on the fat, you're going to white knuckle it and be hungry and dieting and starving yourself. And it doesn't work. So
if you're up around 65, 70% fat and the rest protein at the beginning, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not a prescription. If you're at 55, 60%, you're still fine, right? And on any given day, you might be as low as, 50, 55%, on a high day, 70, 75%. That's okay. You don't have to hit some crazy target every day, just as long as you're in the ballpark, Mm-hmm. Like I like to say, as long as you're in the ballpark, we'll put you'll get up to bat at some point. Right. So just play around with it. Once you have this set, 30, 45 days, 60 days, when you feel like you have a handle on it, you can start measuring. Don't count calories, but you can start going, okay, let me try a little extra protein, a little less fat. See how I feel. Right. It's
Maybe drizzle some extra olive oil on something, or maybe do it.
see what's
Yeah.
doing, right? Just see how you feel. You're going to feel, I want you to start feeling your energy when you eat food. I know it seems impossible right now, but you used to feel things when you ate a lot of sugar, right? It was giving you a high. Maybe you didn't realize it anymore. Maybe you're trying to get right back to even with all the sugar and all the carbs.
Right.
You're going to feel when you're eating right, you're going to start to feel it. I'm just going to leave it at that. So that's number 4.
Well, that's true. Well, I mean, you're reinforcing the idea that our bodies are actually pretty intuitive. And when you get off the sugar, you can actually listen to what works for your body without having to count, which feels absolutely revolutionary and sometimes impossible when you're starting NSNG. But it can happen. It can happen. Trust me, I come from the counting diet world. So thank you, Michelle, for that question. Along the same lines, Billy, part 1 of Billy's question is, how much protein do I need to gain muscle? I'm 50 years old, 5'9", 165 pounds.
Can you ask that question again? I was looking, Debbie wrote to me and I had to.
Billy said, how much protein do I need to gain muscle? I am 50 years old, 5'9", and 165 pounds.
5'9", 165, and carried a 1. Somewhere between 100 grams and 120 grams a day. What people don't realize is when it comes to taking in protein, you're not trying to match calories from what you burned in the gym, right?
Okay.
You're going to match calories with protein and fat. Fat is going to be your energy source. Now, I know a lot of people here, well, someone calls glycogen and all that, muscle sparing glycogen. Okay. Yeah, anybody can say anything. And the thing that will spare your muscles is, giving it protein before you go to the gym. And you don't have to have it right before. Your body will hang on, especially to animal protein in your small intestines until it needs it, and it will keep dispersing it. It's okay.
Wow,
a little protein.
That's cool.
It's okay if you add a little protein after your workout. And people think, oh, there's some weird window, but there's no window. You've heard me say it 1,000 times over the years. It's okay to have protein right after you work out. There's no 30-minute window. You can have it an hour, 2 hours after, but you can have some protein after. Your body will use it as it needs it. But to match calorie for calorie, what you're losing. Hell, today I was on my what do you call this machine here?
Spinner, rowing machine.
I was on for 90 minutes. Right? And I stayed at 125 beats per minute the entire time. Before that, I was in the gym doing, upper body day, my pole day. Okay. If I came and tried to match calorie for calorie with protein, it would be crazy. But over the course of the day, I'm going to level off. I'm going to have more fat, more protein throughout the entire day.
Well, and I want to say, the amount of protein in things, like just doing a basic Google search, because I know you tell people you don't really need to count. And I think the same applies there. If you're eating a reasonable amount of protein, 2-3 eggs and some bacon at breakfast, maybe you have some leftovers from the night before that has chicken and vegetables, and then a steak
can have, 30, 40 grams of protein.
Yeah. A steak it's according to Google, a steak has around 50 to 65 grams of protein. So it's like you eating normally throughout the course of a day, what's a sensible thing to eat? You're going to hit your goals. You just want to make sure that you have that protein at all the meals, right? You don't want to just have only vegetables.
Yeah, you want to spread it out. All right, I said a chicken breast, 40 grams, 43 grams.
Yeah.
Look, it depends on the size. So it's not that hard to get the protein you need to build muscle. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're taking in more than you need, you're not going to build extra muscle. That's not the way it works, right?
I used up all of my extra protein for this one bicep.
Look, you don't want to get not enough.
Right.
That's a negative. That you want to talk about bad sentence structure. You don't want to end up with not enough.
Yeah.
But getting a lot more it's kind of like you. Okay, I'm going to do a car analogy. Let's say you have yourself a 289, Ford 289 Mustang, and you got yourself a 4-barrel carburetor with a double pumper on it. Ollie or Rochester double pumper. Okay. That carburetor can dump a lot of fuel on those pistons. That's a small block V8. And if you want that car to go as fast as you want, it'll dump the right amount of fuel. It'll get it to its maximum. Now, if you put two carburetors in that car, let's say you got a manifold and you could put two carburetors, just because you could dump double the gas on those pistons don't mean you're going to go that much faster.
Right. Okay.
Right. The engine's going to use what it needs for the energy to do what it's going to do. Body works. And I hate to use that analogy.
It works. It makes sense.
Every guy knows, and we know, like if you have like a chainsaw at home, if you prime it too much, you're going to flood it, right? You're not going to get started faster by priming it too much. Or everybody has a blower or a weed eater or something, right?
Right.
We've all primed it too much. And you go, oh my God, now I can smell the gas.
Now it's flooded. You can't do it.
You flood it. It won't start. You got to let it rest for a second. Same with the body. You can't just flood it and go, oh, my body's going to super absorb this. That whole cells are going to super absorb something. That's bro science at its best. And
cellular absorption. What is it called? Absorption on the cellular level?
Don't get me started. That was question number 5. We're halfway.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you're doing 8 questions, right?
I said 10.
What are your thoughts on pills to help raise testosterone levels? That's the second part of Billy's question.
Pills? That's a very broad statement.
Are you talking about like transdermal patches or creams or I don't know how men take exogenous testosterone. Pills?
Okay, hang on. There are 2 things here. You can either take some kind of, replacement, which is steroids, and that could come in the form of a gel or a patch or, I guess, a pill you could take, or shots, right?
Oh yeah, shots. Yep.
But he might be talking about, there's all this bro science around. Oh, this will raise your testosterone.
Oh, if you have low T, you take these supplements that are just herbs.
Right. You hear the term
ginseng or ginkgo biloba or whatever, things like that.
What's one of the ones people ask me about all the time? Ashwagandha.
I thought ashwagandha was a relaxation thing for the brain and for anxiety.
I think it's supposed to raise your
T.
You're supposed to raise it too. And there's another one called Long Jack. And folks, don't call me and ask me which brand, because there is no real science to say any of this stuff works. I'm not recommending any of it. We don't know if it works, right? But if you go on the internet and start reading about Long Jack or ashwagandha and the reason I know about this stuff is because I get asked this every day in the consults. Hey, Vin, I don't want to take, testosterone, but my testosterone is low. And I heard that, and then I write down Long Jack and I go look it up. Right. I can't find any good science. See, I have all of that in my head because I'm talking to people about it and I have to look it up all the time because I'm not just going to give a bullshit answer. I'm going to go look it up and write back to them. And that's going to be another thing we're going to do with the VIP thing, right? People will be able to ask those questions and save that money that, instead of wasting their money buying, ashwagandha. And look, there's nothing wrong with ashwagandha.
Right.
It's not going to hurt you. I've read about it. And it might, you mentioned it might help people sleep. It might help you be calm and this, that, and the other thing. Right. So there's some health benefits to some of these teas, I guess, but there's no double blind, and they've done some, as a matter of fact, I think they've done some double blinds on that. And, it was inconclusive, some older men, and I don't know. So I don't know what he's talking about. And by the way, I'm not a real fan of taking the exogenous hormone, the HRT as they're calling it and all that. I'm just not a fan. And I get a lot of pushback. A lot of people, Vin, stay in your lane. This is good for you. People get older. This helps our body. And yes, it does. It does. It helps a lot of men. A lot of women take a lot of hormones.
Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about men this whole time because everything you're saying does not apply to the female journey.
And by the way, the same with men. Some of these men feel crappy and this and that and the whole thing. And they take this HRT and they feel good for the first time. They're getting erections again. They're fucking their brains out. Whatever they're doing, lifting weights. And that's all good. That's all good. The problem I have with it personally is there are studies that show that it will help cancer grow if you're prone to cancer. And I've beaten cancer once, and
Yeah, you're not going to mess with it.
I'm not touching it, but if you want to do it, go for it. That's number 6. Go on, Anna.
I know that we're going to do a whole thing on menopause and talking about that, so I'm not going to address those questions right now. But I would say to ladies, if you're listening, go to the National Association of Menopause Society, NAMS. Just Google NAMS and find a NAMS provider near you if you're suffering with perimenopausal symptoms and you want to find a provider that you can talk to who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Don't order stuff off the internet. Well, you kind of answered this question, but let me just say it again, just to kind of refresh here. Katie says, how can we ensure that we have enough protein daily, as my husband and I lift weights and do cardio, but meat is expensive. And some days it's hard to consume that much food. So we already answered how to know that you're having too much protein, but maybe some tips and tricks about how to save money. I mean, I would always say cheap cuts of meat. Oh, she said protein options, even in supplement form. So that's kind of a two-parter. How do you save money on proteins, which is undoubtedly the most expensive part of grocery shopping? But then also, are there protein supplements? Is she talking about like a protein shake or whatever? I don't know.
Okay. So I mentioned chicken breast, 41 grams of protein. Chicken, throughout history, chicken has been used. Poor people, it's the pauper's food. Eat chicken, right? When you can't afford red meat. So you know, we just named one thing where you just one piece of chicken can give you up to 43 grams. Cheese, now depending on the cheese, but most cheese is somewhere around 7 or 8 grams, if I remember, per ounce. So let's say you ate, you know, let's say it's 7 grams. So let's say you ate 4 ounces of cheese. That's 28 grams of protein. That and a piece of chicken, you're already at 60 some odd grams of protein. You know, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Now, the question is, what about protein powder? Okay. Protein powder, I'm not a big fan because it's, you know, you've heard me say 1,000 times on the show, is bastardized protein. Does it help? Does it work? Yes. But there are certain proteins that are better than other proteins. Just to make this list very short, the best form, the one that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck is whey protein. Whey protein comes in, you know, you could get standard whey, which if you're going to take it, I would suggest that because it's the most wholesome of all of them. And then you have, there's one that's called concentrate and isolate, right? Where they cook it down even more. By the time you get to isolate, you've cooked it down. You're losing some of those amino acids that you need. So I would say standard whey protein. By the way, that's going to be the cheapest one of all of them. So if you're going to do it, number 2.
Don't you like the egg protein too?
I'm going to that.
Oh,
if
sorry.
you're going to use whey protein, the other side of it is do not get anything other than plain. I did not say vanilla. For some reason, some people think vanilla equals plain.
They think that with yogurt too.
Plain is plain.
Mm-hmm. Unflavored.
The number 2 protein would be egg white protein. The problem is that it's not utilized as well by the body. People get gas from it and other problems. It could cause a little stomach distress. But egg protein is also high, but you probably won't get the same absorption as you're going to get from whey. So if you're going to take a supplement that I'm not a big fan of, why not use the best version of it? Now, let me get into a third type of protein that's all the rage on the internet. It's bovine protein.
Bovine collagen protein. Yes.
No. Let's stay away from that. Now, if you look it up, it'll say this is beef protein. And if you see some of these companies now, there might be a couple of good companies out there. I haven't looked into this. But what they would have you believe is that they're taking New York strips and grinding them down and desiccating them.
They're not doing
that. You're putting that in water and mixing it up. That's not what's happening. they're doing the same thing they do with collagen peptides. Basically, some of them even call themselves bone broth and that kind of stuff because they're taking collagen.
This one's a chocolate bone broth protein.
Right.
What?
Can you imagine?
What?
That's not steak, folks. Don't think you're getting steak. You're getting a bastardized version of it. So your best choice is going to still be whey protein. Right.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying a lot of these bovine proteins all have the word collagen attached.
Even basically it's another way of them lying to people. And my understanding is
what's the lie? Well, I don't understand what the lie is.
They're making you think that what they did was they desiccated, beef, right? They took beef, they cooked it, they dried it out, they ground it up into a fine powder, and now you're reconstituting that in water. Almost like an MRE. And that's not what you're getting, right? It's not like desiccated liver where you're actually getting desiccated liver. This is
so what are you getting?
You're getting collagen peptides. So you might as well just go buy your collagen peptides or do what I do and use Knox gelatin because I'm cheap.
I see what you're saying.
Let me be very clear, Anna.
It's ligaments is what you're saying?
It's ligaments. It's, soft tissues, the whole thing.
Yeah.
You're not getting from that. You're not getting whoever's asking this question. I can't remember the name. You're not getting the amino acid profile that you're going to get from whey protein and or egg protein. Okay. Stick to the best whey protein. If you don't want to be the very best, get egg protein. So there's my answer. And I would tell you to use as much animal protein as you can in the form of eggs, in the form of cheese, in the form of chicken, red meat, pork, whatever you can get. And by the way, I was poor most of my life. I've scratched and clawed my way right up to middle class. And I can tell you, I've been eating red meat my whole life. You can find cheap cuts. You can find cheap cuts of meat. Go.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. So was that
ground beef being the number one thing?
Was that number 6
in this house?
7? Quite
7.
Okay.
Tim Mallion, the stallion, asks, when doing weights to failure, how many sets of those should you do? Now, I know you've gone into weightlifting routines on actually a recent Monday show. Went into a 101, but how many sets to failure should you do?
You can do one. You can do one. My friend, the billionaire Don Coddington.
Don Coddington's Friday, 5 o'clock.
He does one set of failure twice a week, and he keeps a lot of muscle on his body for a 61-year-old guy. He goes to a trainer that, and when you're going to do one set to failure, you need to do it at least twice a week. You need to separate it by at least 2 days. 3 is better.
Okay.
My good friend, Dr. Bukikio, Ben Bukikio, can guide you through that and give you a little something there. Also,
I love his book.
Fred Hahn is also, but the thing about it is when you do one set to failure, you have to be on it, man. It's going to hurt. That's why Don, who's very disciplined and lifting weights his whole life, uses a trainer to do it. I've trained people one set to failure. It's hard. I personally like doing 3 sets. Now, Mike Mentzer.
So your first 2 sets aren't to failure, and then your third one is?
My first one is very light. It's just to get some synovial fluid moving. The second one, I get pretty close to failure and I let it go. The third set is always 5 or 6 reps.
Okay.
Sometimes 4 reps or 3 reps. And I'm done. And I'll just pick up anyone in the gym if I'm doing bench press and go, hey, get over here and just keep an eye on me because this is going to end up on my chest. So I'm a big fan of that, going to failure. And look, if you ask Mike Mentzer, and Mike actually stole this from Arthur, why can't I think of Arthur's last name? I'm losing my mind. Arthur Jones, who created Nautilus. But Mike Mentzer said, okay, what's with sets? If you do 3 sets and that's great, is 4 sets better? Does that mean 20 sets is even better? Where does it end? And what are you doing to get to those 15? Arnold Schwarzenegger used to do 15 and 20 sets in his early days. Trust me, when I used to watch him back in Golds in the early 90s, he wasn't doing, and by the way, he was still, he wasn't Mr. O back then. but he was still doing those movies, where he had to be rock hard and everything. He wasn't doing more than 3-4 sets on anything. Right. And he had someone spotting him on those last. Yeah. I remember watching a guy on an incline press and those kind of things. He had someone, even squats back in those days, he was keeping muscle in his body. He had a spotter behind him to grab him, and he had somebody on each end of the bar, and he was going deep because Arnold always had trouble keeping extra weight on his legs. He had little chicken legs, but he kept them,
genetics,
heavy squats. Right. And I'm saying chicken legs, folks. And when you go look at him, you go, what is Vinnie talking about? Put him next to Tom Platz and you'll see what I'm talking about.
He just genetically had the thinner leg.
Yeah. And
so he had to work harder to keep
he had an incredible symmetry, just incredible. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, those guys, he was keeping that kind of weight on when he was doing all of those action movies, keeping himself looking like Arnold. Right. And the same thing with who was the other one? The Hulk, Lou Ferrigno.
Mm-hmm.
I used to see him in there all the time, trading sets with him every now and again. He wasn't doing 20 sets of something. 3-4 sets, he was out of there. Right.
That's good.
Anyway.
Okay. Last question.
No, we got 2 more.
Okay. Well, we got to go. So let's make these short. I'll ask you a short one. I know, because I know the answer to this one. Robbie asks, got my blood work back and the bun level is high. Google tells me that it's related to consuming too much protein. Does this really matter at all?
It's a medical question.
There you go.
People ask me about bun all the time. They ask me about Billy Rubin. They ask me about all this stuff. I'm sorry, I cannot answer a medical question. If it's slightly high, that's usually not a problem. Go take a test in a couple of weeks and it might be slightly low.
I would ask your doctor.
But
I would ask your doctor.
That's something you want to talk to your doctor about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doctor, I only play one on the internet. That's 9. One more.
Okay.
Make it a good one, Anna.
Oh, this is a good one. And hopefully not too long. But I like what Jenny is thinking. Jenny asks, wondering if there are any specific exercises that target visceral fat. And can you explain why she's asking that question? Like the philosophy behind people asking that question.
Folks, there is no way in hell to spot lose weight. Visceral fat.
Be like, if I do crunches, my tummy fat's going to go down.
Right. No, it's not. You're going to build up some really nice abs underneath that fat, but you're not going to see any extra abs until the fat goes away. You cannot spot lose weight. Right. You can spot gain weight, because we know that certain kind of, when you eat high concentrations of carbohydrates, you get a beer belly. Seems to go around the waist more than it goes anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then because of genetics, some people get big saddlebags, other people get big tummies, some people get fat everywhere. I was lucky when I started gaining weight after football. I didn't look like I was getting fat for a long time because I was getting thicker everywhere.
Right.
And it wasn't until I couldn't button my pants anymore when I went, whoa, wait a minute. Right. And, you can't spot lose weight because of exercise.
But could you burn some fat through cardio, or do you have to be burning fat through just doing NSNG?
No, you burn fat every time you do any cardio, any kind of movement or exercise. Your body uses calories, fat calories as energy, whether it's from stuff you just consumed or just pulling it from your body because it needs to. So every time you exhale, you're exhaling water, which came from the
breakdown of the fat,
proliferation of fat. People always go, "Where's the fat go?" It goes right out of you. It comes in your mouth. It goes out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty efficient.
Funny.
Yeah. So
you eat it and then you exhale it.
Yeah, it's crazy how that.
So
works.
We should just become breatharians.
Yeah, that'll work. Do that. But if you're trying to lose weight by exercising, you're not going to get very far very fast. I said that in my Instagram just today, right?
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I talked about, My thing every time I walk on stage, I always say exercise is a poor way to lose weight. And it really is. It's a horrible way to lose weight, because by considering that you're going to lose weight by exercising means that you are believing that calorie in, calorie out can actually work. And it's never worked. It's never worked. I go back and listen to Ben Bigman. We talked about that on the show. Just
on a Friday show.
Well, what about the laws of thermodynamics? Well, guess what? You're not a diesel engine, asshole. You're a human being. That's the laws of thermodynamics. Yeah, let me play this for you, Anna. You ready?
Okay, and then we will wrap it up.
Yeah,
I gotta
wrap
go.
it up. All right,
Just when we thought we were going to go under an hour.
Hang on. Let me find me. Here we go.
Find yourself.
Doing autonomous weight. Number one, you want to eat a lot of fat and protein, and you want most of that to come from animal protein. Things like fish, chicken, turkey, red meat, pork, eggs, cheese. These are all good for you, folks. Number two, you want to be low in carbohydrates. If you take in carbs, make it veggies, particularly cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. If you have any fruit, you want to keep it to things like avocados and olives. You can have some berries on occasion, but you don't want to have high glycemic fruit. Number three, exercise. Now, folks, exercise by itself is a horrible way to lose weight. As a matter of fact, you can exercise and not lose any weight at all. But if you're doing the first two correctly, exercise will actually magnify weight loss. And besides, exercise is the fountain of youth. Stay motivated.
Stay motivated.
There you go, Anna.
I love it. So,
No.
but honestly, that's a little bit different than what you said. So the clarifying statement is exercise on its own is a poor way to lose weight. That can't be your only fitness plan, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah. But what I always try to tell people is you want to exercise and eat right. Because, famously, I've taken people in wheelchairs, quadriplegics, and they've lost weight. They can't do a heck of a lot of exercise.
Correct.
So people go, what if I can lose weight? Why should I exercise? Because it's the fountain of youth. And by the way, when you're doing everything else right, you can magnify the effects a little bit. But if you're trying to outrun a fork, good luck. It's just not going to happen. So
on that note.
Yeah. So folks, on that note, Anna Vocino has eathappykitchen.com. Go to eathappykitchen.com. She's got a third cookbook coming out. She's writing the fourth. The woman is the Energizer Bunny of health and fitness and nutrition.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes.
That's why, when people tell me, oh, I'm doing NSNG, I don't know what to do. Okay. I have a fucking co-host who has 3 books out. The third book's coming out, and the fourth one is being written, and she's got a website full of free recipes. I don't want to hear from you. Go find Anna Vocino.
Yes. Plenty for you to go on.
And by the way,
inspiration. Thank you.
If you're hungry, go get all of her sauces and get her powders. Get it all. Don't mess around.
That's right.
All right. With me, VIP, VinnieTortorich.com/VIP. Don't get FOMO. You don't want FOMO on this. VinnieTortorich.com/VIP. You want to put your name in there. We're starting this group. Anna, remind me to tell you when we cut the mics off.
I know. I got the thing.
I
wrote it down.
So go do that. Also, we're getting close to holiday time. This is where we make our bones every year. If you're going to go shopping on Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com first. Click through the banner. Puts a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track, and it doesn't cost you a dime extra. So go do that.
I just signed up at VinnieTortorich.com/VIP.
Yeah,
I put my name and my email in there.
And if you're in the group,
well,
you know what? I'm considering, I'll talk to Debbie and company. Maybe we'll give you a free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe. Don't push it. Okay. All right. Don't push it.
I'm not going to push it. Listen.
Yeah, just. So listen, folks, on behalf, Anna reminded me of the song when she was telling me to wrap it up. So on behalf of Anna Vocino, my name is Vinnie Tortorich. Put life into living and do it with the fabulous Thunderbirds.